Hello everybody, today's September 26, 2011. I was going to do a quick video on my way home, but I decided I had to start it before I actually started driving because I wanted to read something, and probably wouldn't be a very good idea to be reading while I'm driving along at 70 miles an hour. However, anyway, I did a video about Robert Kiyosaki's prediction of silver that he made in a radio interview. Now, it's a pretty incredible price. He was predicting $6,000 silver sometime in the future, the next few years. And for people who study silver and understand what's going on in the financial markets, they understand that with the dollar collapse, the price of silver in dollars is actually irrelevant, because if you have the dollar collapsing, the price is infinity. That's, if anyone asks you what's the highest price silver can go to, infinity. That's the answer. That's the answer when you have a currency that's going to eventually return to its intrinsic value, which is zero. So, the price could go to anything. Now, when we get to that point, it's going to be a sad state. I don't even want to think about the situation of the rioting and just, the crazy situation we'd be in a total economic collapse, a total currency collapse situation. At that point, maybe what my brother's all about would actually be more important than having precious metals. I'm going to be at some point interviewing my brother, who's an Iraq war veteran, and who pretty much his belief lies along the lines of like beans and bullets. He's got lots of guns and ammo and food supply and no precious metals. I mean, he's planning for that Mad Max world that, I'm not saying isn't going to happen. Of course, I have my food supply and I have, a way of protecting it. But he's more along the lines of preparing for the worst rather than preparing for a position where we don't get to that point. So hopefully soon I'll have a discussion with my brother and record it and do a little interview, because, he was in Katrina as well. So he's had experience with seeing the system break down. So one of the reasons I'm really happy that I did that video of Robert Kiyosaki's prediction is because, it's got almost 70,000 views. I did it sometime last year. And it's got over 500 comments. Now, it really brings out comments of what I feel people really believe. They just think that investing in silver is like Beanie Babies or baseball cards or a stamp collection. They don't understand what's happening, and I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. I mean, they haven't done their research. This happens to be a passion of mine, and I've researched it, so I understand better than the average Joe what's going on. Most people don't understand fractional reserve banking. I feel like a broken record, but Henry Ford said it best. He said, "It is well that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary systems. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." I mean, that is so true. Most people don't understand how it works, how money's created out of nothing. And the electronic digits in the computer system and the paper money have no value. Everyone would want to have some silver coins if they knew how the system worked. But, the powers that be have done a good job not letting people know how the system really works. So let me read this real quick, and then I'll pick this back up on my way home with a little bit of commentary on the backside. I had this comment yesterday from Mrs. Mom 100. "I think silver and gold are being manipulated by these blowhards who post on YouTube. People get sucked into believing the world is coming to an end and run out and buy silver. I pity those who bought silver at $49 an ounce, listening to these YouTube know-it-alls. So that kind of caught my attention of, and your average person who just looks at silver as like stamp collecting. They just, they just don't understand what's going on. I mean, anyway, I'll pick this up in a little bit. So in reply to the woman that thinks that gold and silver is being manipulated by the blowhards who promote precious metals here on YouTube, I just have to say how ludicrous that is. That we could control the futures and options markets, and we can control the paper markets by what we're saying here on YouTube. The more likely culprit of why we had the recent pullback in silver could be what the CFTC, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, is potentially going to announce on the October 4th, which is position limits, and finally limit the amount of, how much you can be short something. Silver has the largest short position in history, and there's a couple banks primarily that are short of the silver market. So if they're forced to cover and their average date around $12 an ounce, for their average short position, if they're having to cover at 40, they're losing tons of money. So that's one possibility why we saw this hammer down. But what happens when they're covering is it's going to shoot right back up. We could see silver right back up to 40, within weeks. I'm not saying, I'm not going to say that that's going to happen. Of course, short-term predictions are so difficult. I'm not going to claim to be able to say them. In my opinion, unless you have inside knowledge, if you're making short-term predictions on a regular basis, that's pure luck. Unless you have inside knowledge. I mean, anything can happen in the markets. Long-term, I believe it can be predicted. Most importantly, I think the people that watch this channel, and hopefully the people that stumble upon it, will learn what's going on in the larger scale. Long-term. If people understood fractional reserve banking, they'd want to have some silver coins in their hands. I own silver! I feel so strongly about that. I mean, most people don't understand how the system works, how fractional reserve banking works. It's total mind blower when you realize that the money just created out of nothing. And people have put so much faith into paper and digital money that, when the whole system comes crashing down, they're just going to be standing there wondering, well, what the hell happened? Well, what happened was we had structural problems in the whole monetary system of the world, and now you're standing there with no real money in your hands. I mean, that's pretty much covers it all right there. But anyhow, so I just wanted to I just kind of wanted to talk to the fact that most people don't really understand what's going on. And I'm not trying to claim to be a know-it-all. I just happen to spend a lot of time looking at precious metals and the economy. And I had another comment from somebody who said that my understanding of economics was weak. Well, yeah, I guess it's weak compared to the people who think that you can just print wealth. I mean, if printing wealth was the case, then why doesn't the government just hand out little printing presses to everybody, and we could all sit at home in our garages and just printing up money and becoming rich, and we just all go, and consumer confidence would be through the roof at that point.